We have the story of Appliancers in the remote regional breakdown. Don't be like the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So we're going to be talking about the remote duel regional this weekend and how everything shaped up for this event. So your most represented deck in the top 8 of this event was actually Trap Tricks. We've seen a little bit of a shift as of late where Trap Tricks has kind of become a little bit more interesting of a deck in terms of these top cut representations. Now, once again, I'm not really surprised to see that, Trap Tricks has taken a little bit of a lead here, but it is still kind of interesting nonetheless to see your relatively interesting shift there. Now, we also had one Despia in top cut. I'm not surprised about that. Despia and actually our one Kashtira deck as well in top cut here. Both of these decks have been maintaining a very strong hold on the metagame, and it really has been showcasing the fact that, the two best metagame contenders in the room here are doing fantastic at that. We also had Sprite pulling ahead here. Now, to my understanding, this was the Adventure Sprite deck. We didn't get an answer back, so we don't have a list for that. We also saw that there was a Drytron deck that made its way into top cut. Now, Drytron's been gaining a little bit of popularity here as well. I'm not surprised to see that the overall turnover for this deck has been very successful. You've also had one Labyrinth in top cut here as well. Labyrinth has been gaining a little bit of momentum. As you can tell, there are a lot of back row decks present for this event between the amount of Trap Tricks that were here and Labyrinth. I mean, I consider that a pretty huge thing. And then we also had a hero list that made it into top cut. Now, before somebody goes, Robbie, where's the list? Duelist wanted to keep it quiet for the LA regional coming up. I can't do anything about people that want to share or not share information. All right, I would say just be patient. It'll probably come out at a much later date, but that's the best that I have for you. But how much different can a lot of the hero list be in terms of tech choices? So it's really something to consider there. All right, we're going to pass on over for what info we do have. All right, winning our event here is none other than a very small splash of tier elements in my Despia branded deck. Now, this is actually kind of cool to actually see a little bit of a splice for this. I mean, also having it act as a level 4, the ability to go ahead and mill, send something from your hand to graveyard. This card does actually a decent amount of stuff for the Despia deck, a little bit more than I think some people might really consider wanting to play in terms of the inclusion, but this was able to grind out the regional, lock down a first place finish here, and it does very much showcase, a lot of the power and things that you've seen in the format. We're also maximizing triple copies of Fallen of Albaz here, and we're also not playing the Dark Dragoon package. I think this is one of the first variants of this deck that I've seen that aren't even making a attempt at focusing on the power of the Dark Dragoon, which, once again, I mean, understandable. I mean, once you kind of shave off a little bit of the fat, you open up some doors for different consistency options that you can kind of mess around with here. And that's something that Despia, I feel like, kind of wants to explore. Also, like, we are playing double Fenrir in here as well. We're not going too crazy with trying to maximize numbers. You still have defensive options through the books in here. I mean, you also have, brain diffusion stuff. And we're still seeing, the full crazy value fusion deployment. And we're also playing the one thrust, so you can toggle into talents and then post-side decking. You have access to evenly matched down here. We're also only playing one Solemn Judgment. That feels a little bit weird, but I suppose that this actually opens up some interesting plays. And then, of course, we're not actually playing the Gold Sarcophagus either. This is much different compared to a lot of the other variants that we've seen out here. And I know a lot of people are like, well, stick to the old ways, play Dragoon. Nah, sometimes breaking the mold is going to get you the best results out here. So kudos to seeing first place actually come down and actually smash. Next up here is our Trap Tricks list. Yes, the good old evenly matched build continues on with its day. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't know if I want to pick up 3 structure. Just pick up the 3 structure decks and get down to playing this deck. We're also playing only one spell in the whole main deck, one Trap Trip Garden. No focus on the pots, actually. Extrev, the Pot of Prosperities, the filtering options that you're kind of used to seeing with those cards, this build chose not to play for this event. So that's actually kind of cool to see that we're taking a little bit more of a step away from what we're kind of used to seeing, at least in terms of those. And this also does give you a little bit more budget options here as well, which is kind of important at the end of the day. I mean, you're also playing Borrelsword down here. No access code. I mean, yeah, Zeus and Exton are going to be a little bit more expensive, but this build's way cheaper than a lot of the other variants and things that it could possibly be on, you know, in terms of the higher end ceiling. So very, very, very good. Next up here, we have Cash Money Dollar Bills, the deck. Now, let me tell you, for as much as we have seen Cash Tira continue to be pretty much the cookie cutter deck of the format, this builds up to play Crossout Designators here, and because we're playing Crossout Designator, you're going to get access to a lot more of the boring stuff, as we're going to say here. Playing the one Book of Eclipse and your double Book of Moon here. Pretty standard stuff. Pot of Prosperity for filtering, because we're playing the Pot, you get access to Goliath here. All the favorite things of the rainbow here that make this deck actually good. And I see, of course, we are siding some turtles down here, and we are playing Thrust, tug on into the evenly matched to laugh at your opponent. So overall, I think everything for this still feels very, very standard because of, you know, the inclusion of this. You get to explore different options in terms of deck building, and I think that's actually kind of cool at the end of the day. So take it for what it's worth. Seems pretty good to me. Next up here, hey, we have our Sprite player featuring the Rite of Armesia package here. As of late, Sprite has definitely been the more go-to approach for this. The Brave package has been like the one's been winning out. We have seen builds that have tried some cuter things. I mean, like Evil Twin Sprite, Runic Sprite. All the other builds have definitely feel like they've been losing out to this, because, I mean, Omni Negate's pretty good. We're also playing Book of Eclipses to detour the opponent to make sure that your opponent, well, guess what? Can't play the game. That's the big secret out here. As long as your opponent doesn't get the chance to actively, you know, set up and do things that they want to do, it's pretty good. And of course, we're sending the Talent, the Thrust, into the Evenlies. This has become a very, very, very common theme in this format. You activate a monster effect, you get punished really straight out of the game. And yes, we are playing the Sprite Double Cross, my favorite. This card ruins my day. Yay, extra toads. Next up here, we have Labyrinth. We're sporting off one big ball here, actually, and we're siding an additional ball. So the fact that this deck still gets to take advantage of, you know, its normal summons here, we cut back on the Lord of the Heavenly Prison here to kind of make more room for more options like this. This is also, I mean, you're going to be playing Skill Drain. Skill Drain is the best thing that this deck actually has going for it. Just the fact that this card alone wins you games. We're still only playing one Terrors over the Overroot. I think one actually posts like everything we're doing here. This makes sense. And we're getting really saucy here and we're playing Nightmare Corruptor Ibli in the side deck. Imagine a Labyrinth player hands you Nightmare Corruptor Ibli and you just stare at them and you're like, what are you doing? Like, where did this come from? Well, ain't nobody expecting this out of Labyrinth of all places. So that's a very, very cute little tech choice for sure. And then we have our, yes, this is our Appliancer deck. So our friend actually lost a bet here and had to actually play the regional with none other than Appliancer. Now, it wasn't exactly the greatest finish to the day, but I wanted to include this because, well, you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. So making bets over wrestling and then losing and having to play Appliancer. I will tell you that this deck right here, this card right here, Mr. Laundry Drake here, if this stupid thing is not culling battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy the opponent's monster, and if you do inflict damage to your opponent, equal to its original attack. I know a lot of people don't actually read, you know, Appliancers, but when the dryer starts going rogue and tells you it's a Decepticon, you should probably run for the hills. Alright, like that's the general consensus I got out of this from watching a little bit of the playtesting, is Laundry Drake is one of the best cards that this deck has. You know, all memes aside for the former deck that we talked about, the former $5 Appliancer deck that had the chance to do good many years ago, is very nice. Also, the Rite of Armesia package here stole some love for them in terms of playtesting. Just you can win games alone just on Griffin Rider. Did you know that? Yeah, sometimes one negate is usually good enough out here to detour your opponent's strategy. Yeah, who would have guessed that? So What do you guys think about the breakdown for this regional? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. If you guys have anything exciting that you have seen out here on the regional grind, feel free to send it on over. We have so many regionals to still talk about, but it's very, very interesting out here. You guys have a good rest of your day and stay safe out there, all right? Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.